Oh, yeah, we are here for another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. I am so looking forward to this episode because, Jeremy, there is something that just came out that you are so qualified to speak about. And I think that you have a unique position in the game that allows you to speak on behalf of many, I think. So I'm excited to hear your take on the just released Baseball America Scout Survey. But before we get to that, we have to talk about Justin Verlander leaving Houston. Well, he had already left Houston.
Yeah.
But now heading to San Francisco, the Giants. It's one reason why Kate Upton was trending on X on Tuesday night. And now Justin Verlander, 1 year, I believe, is what I saw.
15 mil.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, me either. Could be wrong. I mean, I know it takes his career earnings over $400 million. You know,
That's not bad.
That's pretty good. I saw it was second A-Rod. So good for him.
Wow. Second all time, huh?
That's what I saw.
Okay.
I haven't checked it myself, but that's what I saw. You know, look, Justin Verlander, we knew he was going to pitch again. We knew the time in Houston was over. You know, we never heard his name. That's how you knew, right? Maybe it was a pillow contract. $15 million for him is kind of a pillow contract anyway. But the Giants needed to do something. And I say that because the Dodgers have had an exceptional offseason yet again. Sounds like they're not done. You know, maybe Sasaki is, you know, and I heard at winter meetings he was going there. I'm just going to leave it at that. And, you know, lo and behold, magically, here we go. He might end up in either San Diego or LA, and it looks like LA. So the Giants are in a division where they've got the Dodgers, of course, they've got the Padres, they've got the Diamondbacks, all of which are ahead of them. And they went out and they signed Willie Adames, and then they didn't do anything else. Now, I'm not saying they didn't try. I'm just saying they didn't do anything else. There's nothing else around that. Corbin Burns opted for Arizona. You know, what else they may have been in on or not is not for discussion. That was a very public one, so we'll leave it at that. But they didn't do anything. And it calls into question the Adames signing as a whole as far as where they fit and what they're doing. You know, Buster's gone in there, and if you look at, short of the addition of Bobby Evans and his former agent Jeff Berry as advisors, the only front office move that looked like it happened was Zach Manassian became the general manager, and they replaced Zach's job as the pro scouting coordinator, right? Everything else kind of stayed the same. That's not a good or bad. That's a reality. I'm not passing judgment. That's a reality. When you look at the players, take it back, Randy Wynn.
Okay.
Vice President for development. So we look at the players on the field. They have to make a decision. They got to pick a direction. A little bit upside down in salary, and they're not in a position to win the division. They're just not. Now, you got to play the games, and a lot of stuff can happen. But as you sit today, they're a fourth-place team. That's for me. They're a fourth-place team. And the draft picks and what they do, it's going to be interesting to see in the post-Zaidi era which way they go. But they had to do something else. So the Adames signing and even the Chapman signing last year is wasted. They got to do something else to go around those guys.
You know I love AI, right? This new technology, things you can do with it. I use it a lot on some projects I'm working on. And here's an instance where I hate AI. I hate it.
What
now,
happened?
I'm assuming AI has created this. I'm assuming.
Okay.
It's from a site called fanrecap.com. Here's the headline. Former top prospect traded as Astros undergo mysterious transformation.
What? Who was traded? The guy who went to Arizona? Ferlinsky? Okay. Oh, my Lord.
Former top prospect traded as Astros undergo mysterious transformation.
Yikes.
In a strategic offseason move, the Houston Astros have traded infielder Gray Kessinger to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for promising right-handed pitcher Matthew Linsky.
Wow.
This trade demonstrates Houston's intent to strengthen its pitching arsenal as they navigate the ever-competitive landscape of Major League Baseball.
Wow.
And this is
Yeah,
nothing against Matthew Linsky.
No, who-
27 years old.
he's from Houston.
Yeah, Atascocita High
You know,
School.
and I know his dad a little bit. Mike's
Wait, did he play in the Orioles
yeah,
system?
Mike played. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike's an interesting cat.
I remember.
Yeah, Matt went to Rice, I
Yeah.
believe. Matter of fact, Mike posted something the other when the trade happened about had a jersey with his kid's nickname was Moose on the back.
Well,
right?
thanks for letting me know.
Well, sorry. I mean, it was Space City jersey. He had done 3 years ago. So, you know, first of all, congratulations to the kid on coming back to an organization he grew up with. But you know, it's a piece, right? Kessinger had no spot on this club, and Matt Linsky's a piece that comes back. Yeah, that's Matt Linsky is a piece that comes back this way, and you know, provides some depth. But top prospects will much. Top prospects a little much, new, you know, strengthening their position, new direction.
Well, no. They're saying Kessinger.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's a little much as far as like what that is.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the new position was a new direction for the team.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know,
Promising,
yeah, that's called getting something for something you got to give.
That's
nothing against the kid. That's just
exactly. But it's just a bizarre headline that I just had to mention it.
Yeah.
Gray Kessinger, part of that 2019 draft, Jeremy.
Was he really? 2019 draft, huh? That was the one before the penalties.
Yeah, he was the second round pick.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's the grandson.
Grandson of Don.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Keith's son, I believe.
Yeah, good for him. That was one of the big leaguers that Chris Gross tried to throw at me on the field that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, because at that time I don't think Gray had made the majors yet.
Yeah, but he was still throwing.
He made it in 23.
He was still. I think the comment was, "It's hard to fill the system when they're all up on the stage." And I think I asked him. I said, "Chris, which ones were yours?"
He's the nephew of Keith Kessinger.
Yeah, I don't know. Chris is. Anyway, we'll get to. I'm sure we'll work back around to this whole scouting thing.
Yeah, well, that brings up the big Baseball America State of Scouting survey. Very interesting. Not a lot of surprises, I would say.
Yeah.
How would you assess the current state of scouting? Scouts were asked to rank on a 1 to 5 scale how they would assess the current state of scouting. A majority said it was not great, which is 2 on the 1 to 5 scale. Not a single scout said it was excellent, which is 5 on the 1 to 5 scale. A significant number of scouts elaborated on a general feeling of not being valued, quote, under attack and underappreciated. But again, I would say that's nothing new here in the year 2025.
You know, it's funny. I talked to Major League Baseball today about a few things.
Okay.
Lengthy conversation, I would say, in one respect, and a short one in another one. This didn't necessarily come up. What did come up was the state of the game and analysis, and obviously, you know, I consulted on that study, like others, you know, with the arm care study and injury study. What did come up when it came to this was, we talk a lot about scout fatigue and scout health. Now, I say we, and I say Major League Baseball asks questions about that, right? Part of the calendar stuff we put together, you know, which includes the main event, right, has a lot to do with that type of presence. And I think that's because
making it not a burden on their schedules. Is that what you say?
Yes. Scout fatigue means not having somebody run from LA to Boston to Florida to Alaska. I mean, there was one year, I told you this story. Yeah. I came from home to the Cape, to USA Baseball, to the Dominican, to Alaska, to the area code, back across to the Cape to finish. And it was like, and then I had our affiliates, and I was like, forget this, you know, and I did it. But my point is, I think that scouts are being asked to do more because there's less of them. Right? There's less of them now. They're being valued as the game switches back, but they're scared. They're tenuous. They're a little timid in knowing if they have any job security. Right? Pro scouting has gone largely to video. Astros started that in many cases. Right? Matter of fact, the Astros really, and part of my biggest issue with Jeff Luhnow at the time was the assault that that organization had on scouts. And they weren't shy about it either. So there's no debating. You know, they 2017 club. They fired all their pro scouts after they built those players, right? Remember how that worked in 2016? They had all those guys. You know, that's the Alvarez acquisition. And then they fired their pro scouts, and I don't think they've had a staff since, really. So
I don't know.
It's a trend that went a certain direction, whereas we went into analytics where scouting was cut. And unfortunately for anybody in that profession, um, it's not a very secure job anymore. It's not something that you can do for a long period of time. You get to a certain level and you've got value, um, and that's it. As far as starting out, they'll go get guys who didn't have the traditional path into the game, and that'll be where that goes. But if you're kind of that middle range area, if you're an area scout's been around a long time, you're making a lot of money now for what an area scout should be, you're at risk. If you are a guy who is a cross-check situation and they've got as far as you can go, you're probably okay. But if you dare to push the button or push the level, you're going to be in trouble. There is no more chance. It used to be you could bet on yourself and find different places to go. That doesn't happen now. You get let go and you take a job 2 steps backwards. And so it's a very tough position for guys to be in. That's the state of the game. And I don't think anybody should be offended by that. I think that's a reality. And I think Major League Baseball is trying to find better ways to streamline it, as it is a business. It's still a business.
You mentioned the word value. Here's another question that was posed. Organization values your opinion on players or puts weight on your scouting reports. Scouts were asked to rank on a 1 to 5 scale how they felt their organizations valued their scouting reports. A strong majority of scouts, 22, believed their teams placed a reasonable amount of value, 3 on the 1 to 5 scale or more on their reports. Only 5 believed their organizations place not much value, which was 2 on a 1 to 5 scale, or little to no value, 1 on the 1 to 5 scale on their scouting report. So I find that interesting because obviously there is this trend that we had seen of teams moving away, but obviously the team's value, there is this disconnect. So hopefully the pendulum is back swinging a little bit.
I think the teams value scouting on different levels. The area scout job used to be, and I say used to be so we understand the range and the evolution or evolving, whichever side you're on here. But the way scouting has changed over the years is that when you're an area scout, when I started, you were called literally the GM of your area.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that happened in your area was up to you. You had to know your associate network. You had to know where players were. You had to get your video. You had to make a decision. You had to have the tools right, and then you had to have the makeup right. And the cross-check job was, I don't want to say easy because that's not the right word, but you would go in and I'd see Jason Bristol versus Jeremy Booth versus Sergio, whatever. I'd line these guys up as far as who was where. It wasn't. I didn't like a guy, I could say so, but I didn't have the final opinion. The area scout knew him better. I just had to line them up in position where I thought they were, right? And so when it moved and shifted, area scouts only became information gatherers. It shifted to college baseball largely because of the video. Video is readily available as games are broadcast, right? You can synergy, something we use in our stuff, is out there to be able to be seen. The analytics and data is more consistent in many places because the funnel's smaller. And high school baseball is very tough. I'll say it. It's high to see competition. It's tough, man. You go in, you got a really good team. They don't play a really good team for a while. You have to match that up. And so college baseball became a safer place to take players from. Well, the way you get the most value out of college baseball players is you shorten the minor leagues. You draft guys at 21 and they're still in the big leagues at 23, and you don't have to worry about them showing up at 25, 26 because there's less levels to go through. It becomes more of a basketball system, right? Or a hockey potential
model.
System. Yeah. And while this is a different sport, when you do that and you shorten the draft, you don't need as many scouts. You just don't need as many scouts. You got 20 rounds. You have free agent guys. Free agent guys are almost always college. You have international scouting, which is going to be guys who are good enough to evaluate where they can't get all the numbers. And so if I'm a scout, a 3 is about right. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to have a job tomorrow, what they think. I know they value me in a certain area, and that's about it.
For a career scout like Dana Brown, this must be really hard for him to see, I would think. I'm not speaking for Dana, but I'm guessing. But I don't believe it comes as any surprise either. Which organizations are the most scout-friendly?
Is this a question or you got a ranking?
I have the ranking.
All right, can I have a guess?
Sure.
On the first one?
Mm-hmm. At number one with 81% of the vote, which was 21 out of the 26 scouts responding, pick this one.
Tampa Bay. No? Man, they're heavy at. Let me think. It's not Seattle.
No, definitely not.
No.
In fact, the organizations that you've worked for,
The bottom, right? Milwaukee's way down there too. That's shifted with Matt Arnold. He's way down there too.
pretty. And when you look at what this organization has produced over the past decade, I don't think it would be a surprise. On many different levels, international,
Texas. No, what do you got?
Dodgers.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I just the Dodgers, but yeah, Andrew. But see, that's also the original Tampa Bay, right? And the model over there. Eric Neander puts a pretty good, emphasis on scouts. But yeah, okay, I can see that. Who's two?
Padres.
I believe that Posty and Preller. Yeah.
Royals.
Yeah, Bridgie and Dayton Moore.
Rockies.
Rockies, yeah.
Yankees.
Yeah, okay.
Phillies and Rangers tied next.
Yeah.
Rays.
Yeah.
White Sox.
Interesting.
Then it's the Nationals, Reds, and Tigers at 23%. Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, Giants, Athletics, Braves, Pirates, and then you've got this group way in the back. The Angels, the Astros, the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Mariners, the Twins. The Twins was a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, they used to be really scout-oriented. What about the Red Sox?
And then that's a different one. Yeah, I don't. These were screenshots, so
Okay.
these were screenshots. But I mean, those are the teams right there that the Red Sox may be in this other group down here and below. But man, that's but we knew that about the Astros, and I think now when you look at the swing and miss of the first round draft picks from a certain era that we've been talking about for years,
all from the beginning. Yeah. I think I think it was 2018. I said, did they punt the draft or whatever it was? We talked about Seth Beer versus Bo Naylor. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Which organizations are the best at identifying talent?
Okay.
Is this the same one? No, that was the most scout friendly. So this is best at identifying talent.
All right, what do you got?
You tell me.
Oh man. Well, Dodgers.
Yep.
Padres.
Yep.
It's kind of in the same order.
The next one. The next one are you have a high regard for.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yankees, Orioles, Phillies, and then way down near the bottom,
Astros, Red Sox.
Astros.
Yeah. Red Sox have undergone a shift. Devin Pearson's good. Over there, they still have some guys left.
So you hadn't seen this. I mean, you knew it came out. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, in fairness, I've had my other stuff I've had to deal with.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying.
But no, I haven't.
Who are the most impressive scouts in the industry right now? There's a list of 14 scouts who received nominations on multiple surveys. Yes.
What level of scouting are they?
It just some are pretty high up based on the names that I know.
Danny Montgomery.
No.
Bobby Heck.
Yes.
Of course.
Some other guys that I know.
Brian Bridges.
No.
Mike Rickard.
No. Do you want me to just start?
No, I'm gonna see if I can get it because Mark.
I mean, we could be here all day.
Mark Tremuta.
No.
Chris Gross.
Let's see. No.
No. Okay, what do you got?
Brian Barber, Phillies.
Yeah, I know Barbs.
Nick Christiani, Reds.
The former right-hander.
Nick Christiani.
Joe Katuska, special. Go ahead.
I don't.
No.
Mark Connor, Tigers.
Yeah, I know Mark.
James Fisher, Brewers. Billy Gasparino, Dodgers.
Billy's advisory board.
R.J. Harrison, Rays.
Really? Good for R.J.
Bobby Heck, Rays.
Yeah.
Damon Ionelli.
I was gonna say Damon.
Rockies.
Rockies, yeah.
Marty Lamb, Dodgers.
Yeah, Dodgers. Yeah.
Scott Lovecamp,
Yeah.
Yankees.
Yeah.
Mark McKnight, Reds.
Mac signed Josh Hamilton.
Damon Oppenheimer.
Yep. Known Damon since I was 13 years old.
Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mom used to work for the Padres forever.
David Post,
Posty.
Padres,
Uh-huh.
Michael Wagner, Yankees.
Yeah, and Wags. Yeah, Wags was an area scout.
So those are the list of the most impressive.
Yeah, man. I know a lot of those guys. Good for them. Christiani was a pitcher at Vandy, man. I'm almost certain that's the guy.
Okay.
And Katuska drafted him, who's now their scouting director. Joe took him in like the 9th round or something like that.
I imagine you would. Here's the thing: when I look at a survey like this, obviously, yes, it is. Obviously, all these people speaking on anonymity, and you can speak freely on behalf of an industry, and I think that's. I mean, I know you don't look at it that way, but to really I think you are. I know you're able to say a lot of things that people aren't allowed to say, especially when they have the title scout in their name.
So let's go into that for 1 second. That's a lot of the reason why I've rethought. I've had to rethink some things.
What do you mean?
I am going to be I'm my best version of me, my best version for the game if I'm able to stay neutral.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean that I won't help people that ask. It doesn't mean that I don't have people that are tight to me. And there are a lot of close people in the game. Matter of fact, as I've gone through some of these things that I'll just get into, as I've gone through the case with Sony, as I've gone through, something else that we'll discuss as far as like the main event and some things that happen around.
Yeah,
the
main event. Well, for those, I mean, I know many of you who listen are aware that Jeremy's main event was supposed to be in Houston, and then it was moved at the last minute. That's probably I don't think that's a stretch to say that let's say this, the 8th inning, it got moved and it had to be moved to Arlington.
Yeah. So, the funny thing about the game itself is I'm honored. Even the conversations I had today, I'm honored with the respect that I've earned, right? Now, there's some people down the street on Texas Avenue that may not, and not Dana, who I've known forever, and not, Dijon or Ladner or some of the guys I've known, for a long time. But there's some people who don't have any respect for me at all as far as how they've treated me and as far as what they've done, that wear that logo. And outside of that organization, like even when I left Seattle, I went to the Mariners clubhouse the next spring and I said, "Hey, Jeremy Booth." I'd never really met Jerry DePoto besides have a real conversation. And he goes, "I'm familiar." And it was the respect around the game I'm thankful for. You don't have to get along with everybody, but there's a respect level that goes with this. And I am able to speak on behalf of a lot of people. I don't look at it that way. I'm speaking my own thoughts, but I know that there's a lot of support. And it's evident by that advisory board, and it's evident by the relationship with Major League Baseball, which I'm very thankful for. So when you get treated, kind of the way that I have been recently, you kind of look back over some of and I'm not talking about some guy on X yelling at me. I mean, that's part of the gig that comes with what we do here.
Yep.
And I'm completely okay with it. Matter of fact, I enjoy it. The only time I didn't like it was when there was a media personality who I won't get into that kind of started something with me.
Yeah.
Somebody showed up at my door. Somebody showed up at my house because of that.
Really?
Really.
You've never told me that.
I mentioned it to you in passing.
Oh, maybe.
Time, but because I got rid of the guy. Showed up at my house and was yelling at me because of that exchange.
I don't remember that.
I mentioned it to you.
Okay.
And it was part of it. I was like, what are we doing that we got to get to that type of situation? That was just one guy, and then the rest of it went away. But there's been some significant that are, very clearly now personal attacks on me, and on the things that have impacted others that we have done, because of that ability to speak out, because of that ability to, and that platform that I'm afforded here at KHOU and by you, Jason, which, by the way, when we started doing this, we talked about that, and we talked to the directors. We've talked to the directors since then, and this station has encouraged me at every turn to speak my mind, as long as I'm being professional about it, tell the truth. Obviously I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to do anything that's untoward. That's not my nature anyway. But when you get into some of the things that happened across the way, I mean, we were I was just still stared down at winter meetings by Chris Gross in Dallas. Stared down. I laugh about it.
I've been stared down.
Those type of things are like, why? Like, why are we going there, right? And it comes from, it really comes from when I'm able to speak my mind, in my opinion, as far as the bad blood some people may have over there. But what we had over here this past year was we had a main event cancellation, and it got moved to Globe Life Field, and the Rangers, and I cannot say enough, and Houston fans, I know there's this rivalry, but understand this is a different scenario. This is a bunch of kids that were affected, that had earned their way to be in this. This was
some of the top prospects in North America,
without question, and the Houston Harris County Sports Authority,
Harris County Houston Sports Authority, Jeremy.
I'm sorry,
Harris County Houston Sports Authority.
Messed with all the time, but the leadership at that time and the people that were there, some of which still are, wanted to bring the main event here. It'd been in Fenway Park for years, been in Citi Field, and they wanted to bring it to Houston. And because I live here, man, that was such a big deal. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. Now, I'm somebody who has donated $10,000 in gear to the Astros Youth Academy. Did it. I'm somebody who went to that Sports Authority dinner, the Houston Harris County Sports Awards. Houston Sports Awards, is that what it's called? Houston Sports Awards?
The Houston Sports.
10 grand. 10 grand to go to that. Took some local high school baseball players. When Hurricane Harvey hit,
it was like $1 million. Didn't you help? Spearhead. You went to New Balance and said
we need help. We're in a mess.
And it was like $1 million, right? $1
million, and it's actually, you can Google it. New Balance Foundation, which they did it. I didn't do it, but I definitely led to making sure that happened, along with pushing for apparel and footwear. They donated to the Red Cross to help with Houston, and it was the New Balance Foundation and the New Balance Athletics. So I've been here for a long time, and I've tried to pour everything I have into this city, and it's my home. What we do is not like some of the other groups, man. We're very A to B. We're all about the kid. We're all about the player. We pour into. We donated to building houses and hurricanes, and we've done stuff through feeding the homeless and hungry kids and cancer research and lots of different things we can get into. Even the SPCA right here in Houston, helping them out with pets. I'm a dog lover. I got dogs,
big
cats,
dog,
animals,
big dogs,
and we wanted to help, and we do a lot for people who don't or can't, and animals too. And I'm saying this, man, I'm starting to get a little fired up, because when you go through the stuff that I was intentionally, now, and there's no way around it, put through, it affects a lot of people. It affects not just me. It affects what I can do for others. It affects my people that work for our companies. It affects everything, because decisions have to be made. And on August, I think it's 6th, after a year of planning, execution, agreed upon, 10 months, agreed upon execution and planning and plenty of announcements.
Agreed upon with the Harris County Houston Sports Authority.
Right. The Astros decided to invoke a clause that I had, as far as I was aware at the time, or so I was told, that the event can no longer be at Minute Maid Park because the playoffs were coming.
Which we've touched on. We've talked about this. Yeah.
The leadership at the time, with the Houston Harris County Sports Authority,
Harris County Houston Sports Authority,
HCHSA.
Yes.
How's that?
Yep.
The HCHSA did everything they could, along with as did I, to mitigate this. I spent about 2 months, or I guess a month and a half, trying to make sure the events were running properly, maybe a little bit longer. But certainly trying to mitigate this and trying to move on it. My team had to redo a year of work in a couple of months. The Astros wouldn't budge. They just wouldn't budge. Ironically, the reason they gave was field maintenance for the playoffs.
Yep.
But in 2025,
I think I know where you're going.
2025, that same organization that was so concerned about that field has booked the Savannah Bananas, which is a great show, by the way. Jesse's great. It's a great show. But the Savannah Bananas are Barnum and Bailey, bruh. That's the Barnum and Bailey on a baseball field before the playoffs. So Astros fans, I got bad news. It sounds like they don't need the field for the playoffs, and they've punted the 2025 season. Because
come on now.
Guys, I can't imagine 60 high school baseball players with 2 days on that field having any kind of impact as Barnum and Bailey circus before the playoffs. Certainly, at least it's 50-50, right? It's 1-1. But they banged it anyway. And the answer then we got out of that.
It's actually 2 shows.
2 shows. Oh.
2 shows, Savannah Bananas, September 26th.
So that would really, that's consistent.
I'm just telling you, I'm just reading it right here.
Okay,
it's the 26th and 27th.
That's consistent. I'll help you. It's not. It's not consistent. It's intentional. Now, many people would say, what would you do about that? Well, first we try to just get the event going. And thank you again to the Rangers, who are a class organization, top to bottom. Nothing but love for Chris Young and Kip Fag and their scouting department and the Rev Entertainment Group. Started with Michael Mitten, who's no longer there, and Chris Rodek and all those people there who have done everything they could to give us a home. That's a home now for us, and we're grateful for that. But I live in Houston, and we thought this was going to be the plan. And the Astros, as was relayed to me, was Giles Kibbe talking to Chris Massey. Again, that was relayed to me, Chris Massey, along with Sports Authority. Try to get this thing done and mitigate it around when we thought we had a deal. We spent a year putting time into it. Even the Sports Authority coming to Nashville to shoot a Clips for Selection show that you and I did twice.
Yeah, Giles Kibbe, just for those, he's the Senior Vice President and General Counsel for the Houston Astros. Just to give it some
it's good.
Some context.
He's a lot of the guy behind the scenes, and I don't know.
Allegedly.
I mean, he's Crane's. He's one of Jim Crane's.
Well, he's also the general counsel for the Crane Capital Group, as I'm looking right here.
So I mean, and Giles, I went to speak at that
Harris County Houston Sports Authority
about this
board meeting.
And the board was very upset. They were not happy about it. But at that time, we were in such a time crunch, we didn't have time to investigate.
Well, I know the board went into, because I was there. I try to cover these things or be at them. And that one, they went into special session.
They did, and they discussed it. And
I don't know what they discussed.
Yeah, but they discussed it all. And at the end of the day, they came out. We're not privy to that. That's their meetings. But at the end of the day, they came out, and I had to move. Now, at the time, that was going to be a significant expense. It wasn't worth, we understood, and neither did the Sports Authority, fighting the Astros. They just weren't going to budge. I was immediately followed on Twitter by Anita Segal. X, I apologize. Following X by Anita Segal. I requested to follow her back, one that hasn't been granted even to this day, which I thought was more funny. And I was asked, 2 members of the Sports Authority were asked.
She is the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications.
Were asked to speak to me about my posts about talking about the Sports Authority taking care of me or at the time making sure we were covered, and the Astros canceling the event. She said that wasn't true.
Why are we bringing this up now?
I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
And it was true. And then my media credential somehow became of question because I dared speak out about what I was going through. Now, no one trashed them. I just told the truth. I have yet to trash them. Matter of fact, something I'm pretty certain you guys that they don't know, is I've got a copy of a text in my phone between Bobby Evans and Jim Crane when all this was going on, where Bobby texted Jim to say, hey, this Future Star Series event coming to Houston. I'm on staff, coming to Minute Maid Park. You got, Jim replies, great, see you in Houston. I said, Bobby sends it again and says, hey, I just want to make sure, or, kind of in his head, I want to make sure you see this. I'm coming to see you. Did a great job getting it there. Good luck, and I'm paraphrasing. I have the text, and Jim said, great, see you in Houston. Now, why is that relevant? Because the owner of the Houston Astros, at least in writing, was on board with having the event, on board with helping his scouting department with these players there. And Jim, in all my interactions with Jim Crane, is not a bad person. Not.
And certainly, I would imagine baseball ops would want those guys on that field, right?
And that's the other thing. My relationship with Dana was marginalized too, in this whole time, not by Dana, not by anybody else. I've known Dana 20 years. And if you saw the questioning that was going on in the winter meetings, it's pretty clear we got a relationship. And so, it's not an untoward relationship. It's not one we cross lines, but the guy's been a mentor of mine for a long time in different ways. And to say that Dana doesn't know me, which was also attributed to a person over there, is pretty wild. Now, I'm saying this because in the Sports Authority made a leadership change, and while the money that was spent to me was amounting and has amounted to over $400,000 on my side as far as loss and redoing work and actual hard copy expenses, they had a leadership change, and that put a pause into things. And then Ryan Walsh and Juan Garcia,
I think that's right,
were installed over there, coming over from NRG and the rodeo. My sources say there wasn't much of a search. I wasn't there. Not saying there was or there wasn't. That's what my sources say. And they were installed. And then began 6 weeks of discussions, of back and forth, of negotiations. I met with Ryan, myself, and he said, I want to do what's right. And at the end of the day, expenses were verified. Contract was breached. There's no question about it. Expenses were verified. Open items were left out there to be discussed. And we got to the finish line, pushed 5 months out. 5 months out. That's the finish line. And the answer was, we just don't want to. That's the answer I got back to me. We just don't want to do it. We don't want to reimburse you. We don't want to pay for it.
The Sports Authority said
got
that.
Back to me. And I feel comfortable saying this. If I'm somebody who's supported you at an event, if I'm somebody who moved everything out of a stadium that I don't pay, that, we don't have to pay for with Fenway because the New Balance's relation, New Balance takes care of it, but we don't do it, which helps benefit those kids. And we're somebody who is 15% of the draft last year, and we're somebody who is involved in community initiatives in this city. If you're going to treat me this way, what are you going to do everything else? I don't have a choice. This isn't what I wanted. I'm a small business. There's another small business that was impacted by this who sent me a bill. And I was told to pound sand, hold the bag, and you got to do it because we just don't want to. Now, the mayor says he believes in small businesses. The mayor says he believes in the people of Houston. He believes in the arenas. Obviously, that's the point of the Sports Authority. But the mayor believes in the citizens. And if this isn't a large amount of money to the city of Houston, it's a large amount of money to me. It's a large amount of money to the people that work here, the individuals, but it's not a large amount of money to the city of Houston. If you're going to treat my life and my people and the effort, and it is, I gotta say, it is a contract. It's an agreement. It is a written, agreed upon terms of needs and executed almost every single one except for actually playing in Minute Maid Park. And in this discussions we had, it was like, you guys got some action against the Astros, as was said to me. So it was said to me, you have action against the Astros. It's called tortious interference. I'll just tell you, because we had an agreement that we executed against, which is a contract, and it was interfered with by stopping the event. Let me make this clear. I have no interest in suing the Astros. I didn't have an agreement with the Astros. Even with all the stuff I've gotten, even still getting stared down by Chris Gross or chuckled at when people walk by in the hallway because we dare to have an opinion. By the way, one that's been right. Why would I do a deal with the Astros? I'll cover the games. I'll be professional. I'll talk about the team. We've done that.
Been doing it even since all this went down a few months ago, originally.
I don't believe in the character enough, besides Jim Crane, with what I saw. I don't believe in the character enough of the people that I'd have to make a deal with. And that's my opinion. That's my right. So I would not make a deal with the Astros. And out of respect for Major League Baseball and how great they've been to me, I wouldn't sue the Astros. For what? For what? I can. I'm not going to. Why would I do that? It makes sense. My deal is with Harris County Houston Sports Authority. We went down 6 weeks of stalling to the point where everybody involved was surprised. And I was treated as if, well, the only way to look at this is intentional damage. Because otherwise you just do the right thing and move on. That's what Ryan told me he wanted to do. That's where they've left it. They're forcing me to protect other people and small businesses. And I think they think, much like Sony thought, that you could burn me out financially, because Sony stalled out too, right? They tried to burn me out for months and months and months, and that's not working out. Matter of fact, Sony has learned by talking around the game, I feel comfortable saying this, of my reputation, of the things that we do, of the initiatives, of the support, of the value. And I don't have a choice. I have to tell Major League Baseball this happened, because you have to ask, you have to put a calendar together and they have to be apprised of it. I had to tell them why. At the time, in writing, I said the Sports Authority was going to take care of it. They haven't. I've had to tell them. That's a concern. You got the World Baseball Classic coming here. How do you know? If they're not going to do something like this, how do you know? That's not my fight. But if I'm them, I'm going, this is easy. And you're not doing this. Why? I have to tell the kids and the players that there's an effect, because I got to make the money up out of my pocket, right? That means there's less I can do for other people. And small businesses who have sent me a bill because this event was canceled, they're out money too. So we were going down a path of getting this done. It was going to be restored, at least for the hard costs. And other stuff was left open. Receipts, verification, proof, even told, you know what, hard costs aren't a problem. And then at the end, we get to the end of the finish line, it's like, no, it's no. Now, let me tell you something here, and this is important. I grew up with an attorney father, okay? And I have very good attorneys, and I've had very good attorneys represent me.
Would they advise you to talk about all this stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm telling the truth.
Okay, I'm just
telling the truth. And I'm not going to throw character dispersions at people, because that's not where I'm at. These are factual statements. These are factual statements. And what I would say is that when attorneys negotiate and they talk, it's no different than two other human beings. If somebody says they're going to do something, and they're doing stuff when we call it good faith, right? When it turns out the other way, and all of a sudden everything you think you're working towards is a no, attorneys don't have the vote. They don't have the final say, but they have a pretty good indicators. People have done that, and I've been through plenty of other sides and negotiations with that stuff to see how that works. To go this far and have that just automatically be a no, we think it's too much. We don't want to do that. We don't want to pay for it. We know it's the hard cost. I think that surprises everybody. It just does. Now, I can't speak for other people I'm not in the room for, but I can only imagine, knowing how things go with common sense, that will surprise people. So unfortunately, now I have to take this further. And that's where this is. I have to take this further, and I have to go look at why this would be happening to me, why this would happen to other people around. With all that we have done, all that New Balance has done at my behest, even in Hurricane Harvey and some of our worst moments, donating $1 million, as well as clothing, with all the requests, with all the time, with all the effort I personally have poured in here. Even with trying to find ways to benefit the city even more by bringing more events back here in the summer. Formally selecting the sites, by the way, with the letter. To just be told, we don't really care. Matter of fact, we dare you, is basically what they're saying. Now I have to go to court. I have to file a lawsuit. It's just not going to be against the Astros at all. Now, there's a story of events that I've given, and there's more to it that'll be given about what happened. But the Astros are going to Astro, people. That's all I can tell you, and I'm not going to get into it now.
You just did, though.
Well, but I got into what's happened with me.
Okay.
I'm not getting into.
I will say this: you wouldn't be the first person to have your media credential threatened.
But
because that's been, I mean, I can think of one off the top of my head, or not threatened, but possibly revoked. That was in the public space. But go ahead.
But I don't have any ill will towards them. They made a decision for their building. If they choose to treat me that way, good for them. That's up to them. I'm not going to go ahead and trash anybody publicly. I'm going to tell the truth. That's the truth. And if you don't want the truth told, you probably shouldn't do that. There's plenty of public record out there. I mean, being really difficult on the Astros, really hard in their culture. I haven't run from that. If they don't like that, I'm sorry. That's my job. My job is to tell the truth. My job is to be upfront. My job is to be honest. And if you're offended because of that, I'm not going to apologize, because I think we need to get thicker skin. I'm not offended with how you treated me. It's expected. I have that text from Jim Crane that says, "Hey man, great. Can't wait to see you in Houston." So it's not going to be fun to do this, and I didn't want to go this route. I didn't want to have to do it. I thought we'd get something to a good place, and unfortunately, we're not. So, if they're gonna do the, I keep coming back to, they're in charge of taxpayer money. They don't want to pay expenses for a breach of contract for a taxpayer who's brought several $1 million in the city alone. Yikes.
Well, I don't know how we got down this path.
We got down this path because I speak my mind. I tell the truth.
Okay.
I don't know if Ryan Walsh is a good person or bad person. That's not what this is about. I don't know if Juan Garcia is a good person or bad person. That's not what this is about. What this is about is what seems to be a personal affront and an intentional approach to damage me. If it's not, we take care of it. That's not what's happened. I have no other choice but to look at it that way. And I think we kind of started with this with some of the Astros stuff with the scouts and how this went down that road and scouts' comfort and the main event and the fabric of the game. But my deal with the Sports Authority went with the Astros. So that's where it has to stay.
All right. That's going to do it for Extra Bases. We've gone way over time. So until next time, thanks for watching.